Hello and welcome to another episode. I am Brian, the Unskilled Commander. Should have some fun gameplay for you today because we've got some mid to low level decks, retesting some of them. This over here is going to be a brand new deck that I built with what I had. The other three were also from what I had. There might be one or two actual purchased upgrades in there, but we're literally talking one or two cards. Purpose of today's episode for sure, as most of them are, is to find the weaknesses in the deck, see why, if they're performing, why they're not performing, try and figure that out and build them all stronger. I already rolled the dice, and Eriette is going to go first, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the game. Draw for turn. I will play Idyllic Grange, comes in tapped unless you have other planes. I do not, so we will go ahead and pass. Draw over here. Urza's Mine. Taps for a colorless. If you control the power plant, the tower, and the mine, they each tap for 2 colorless. But I don't have any 1-drops, so we will go ahead and pass. I appreciate you checking out my channel. I hope you enjoy the episode. I hope you look around, maybe subscribe, throw some likes down. The point of the channel, as always, is to get better at Magic. Stop losing to my friends more. Well, stop losing to my friends and win some more games. Over the life of this channel so far, which is probably about going on 2 years, I have improved in my deck building and playing, but still not raising the win numbers up high enough. And I'm not trying to go every single game a win or half the games a win. Just 1 in every 4 games is a win. That's kind of what my goal is, and we're still not there. And I also hope that this channel can help other people get better at Magic. Even if nothing else, you learn from my stupid mistakes. You see me do something dumb or miss a play or misdo a card, you learn from that, and then you don't do it, and you can build your decks even better than mine are. Which shouldn't be hard, but you get the idea. Draw for turn over here. Irrigated Farmland comes in tapped. We will pass. Draw for turn. Evolving Wilds, we will sack it for, doesn't really matter, we have a good mix in our hands, so we'll just do this plains that we hit first. We will pass turn. I hope you're all doing well out there. Hope you're having a good day. If you're not, I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope hope it goes a little better. Maybe this will help in that, give you a little chuckle or something, or just some entertainment. We're going to untap over here, upkeep, draw, play Swamp for a turn, tapping both for an Arcane Signet. But nothing else we can do, we'll pass. Untap, upkeep, draw, Island for turn. I do have something I can play. Triskaidekaphile. It's a 1/3. You have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 13 cards in your hand, you win the game. This is actually going to come out of this deck and go into that deck, because when I was building it, I'm like, I know I have a Triskaidekaphile somewhere. Why am I not finding it? I didn't realize it was in this. And this deck doesn't really draw that many cards. I think I just put it in there because I liked it, and it was full art, and it was cool. But I was like, I need something. Oh, and obviously it does have card draw on it. So that was kind of like, well, card draw that you can do. Like, any card draw is a good card draw for the most part. But that's all we got over here. We're going to pass. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Promising Vein. And I will tap 2 and do an Arcane Signet over here. You copied me. No, you copied me. That doesn't make sense. You shut up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Play a Swamp. I will tap 1 for a Serrated Scorpion. A 1/2. When it dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. That's all we got over here though, so we'll pass turn. So if you're new to the channel, again, thank you very much for subscribing and checking it out, or just watching even if you're not subscribed. In case you're wondering why I'm playing all these decks by myself, I do plan on having a more modern explanation video up. Should be up probably before this episode even airs, but the point is, as I said earlier, it's to find the weaknesses in my decks. And obviously, every Magic channel out there, for the most part, is gameplay. And you get 4 people playing, or you're watching on Twitch, and they're gameplay, and it's always fun because you get people that are laughing and there's some banter. But the point is, people talk over each other. You can't always hear what's going on. You can't always see the cards. And while obviously I'm not saying that's, a bad thing to watch, they're fun to watch and fun to be a part of. I've been guesting on some streams as well. It's a lot of fun. But the difference of my channel is that I get to tell you the concept behind the plays, which you don't get anywhere else, because I'm not, a normal game, you're not going to say, oh, I have this Swords to Plowshare in hand, but I'm not going to use it on that creature unless it comes at me because I want them to continue to lower my opponent's life totals. You're not going to say that out loud in an actual game. But I can do that and kind of walk through the reasoning behind most of my plays. Doesn't mean they're good plays. It doesn't mean they're going to work. But you'll at least get that little bit of insight where you wouldn't get that in a normal channel. So I hopefully that's, kind of what sets me apart and ideally lets people enjoy the channel. But without wasting too much more time, we're going to untap, upkeep, draw. I will go ahead and play an Evolving Wilds, cracking it for another Swamp. I do have 3 mana left, so of course we're going to go white, black, one other, to play Eriette of the Charmed Apple. She's a 2/4. Each creature that's enchanted by an aura you control can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. And at the beginning of my end step, each opponent loses X life and I gain X life, where X is the number of auras I control. So with Eriette, most likely a lot of the people that build this are probably going to, because there's decent cards in, both colors that can buff creatures. +1, +2, +2, +3, whatever it is, and give it some sort of effect. It's got life gain, it's got whatever. Obviously, you're not going to want to give away the life gain, but the idea would be load up your opponent's creatures with pluses, but they can't attack you, so it's essentially goad. But it's even better than goad, because if it goes to 1-on-1, they just can't attack you. So it helps them speed up the battle, which I totally get, and maybe that's where my version will go eventually. But what I wanted to try was lockdown and commander damage, because there's so many really fun white enchantments that say this creature can't attack or block. This creature can't attack, block, and use its activated abilities. So my goal was to just, every time someone plays a creature, I lock it down, and then I have spells that buff up Eriette with, lifelink or just more power. And so if everyone's locked down, they can't attack or block, I can swing in for commander damage as much as I want, and that's how it's supposed to win. Hasn't done super great yet, because I think, as with most of my decks, it needs a lot more card draw to make sure I have a lot of those things and the mana to spend a bunch of them per turn. So that's one of the reasons why we're testing her again. But that's the goal of this deck. I don't know that it's going to stay that way forever. Like I said, it might change over to the more obvious buff your opponent's creatures, but they basically have goad type thing. We'll see. Gonna pass over here, untap, upkeep, draw. Sea of the Synod taps for a blue, but it's an artifact land. Go ahead and tap 1, 2, 3 for Sign Master Thopterist, a 1/4. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Then you can pay 2, sacrifice 2 artifacts to draw a card. So again, more card draw, which is always important in any deck. I do have one creature. We're going to go ahead and swing. Dang it. So hey, look, the life counter's here now, since I freaking forgot it and was just trying to get into the game. So you're going to take 1 damage. That's all we can do. We're going to pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Play an island, white, blue, 1 other, and tap this for black. Quasar, Augur of Agonies. It's a 3/4. Whenever I draw a card, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. I'm probably just going to call him Quiznos, like the old Subsha commercials from years and years ago, just because it's funny and I like it. But regardless, this deck, like I said, is brand new, built off of what I had. It's certainly not going to be groundbreaking in any way. It's just card draw. I tried to put a ton of card draw in here so I can ping everybody for a bunch of damage. I don't know how good it's going to be or how viable. On EDH Rec, it's actually ranked as like 119 for commanders, so it's clearly a very popular commander, but I haven't looked them up to see what other people build it as. I'm guessing it's just nothing but card draw. I mean, why wouldn't it? I was going to try and have a bunch of discard in there as well, so like my opponents don't have anything in their hand and I'm drawing a ton of cards, but I didn't have very many discard cards anymore, like, because I used them, most of them, for Shieldred, and I didn't feel like rebuying them. So again, I just built off of what I had. Maybe in the future I will start skewing it more towards that. So there's no real special themes in it right now. I'd want to try and build it unique. That's how I like to build all my decks, which is probably why they don't win as much, because I don't go for the obvious strategies when building decks, but I like to be different, to my own detriment. We will pass turn. How do you guys like to build your decks? You like to just go for whatever the consensus is? If most decks are built this way, you try and do the same, or do you like to play around and try unique things whenever you find a commander you like? Untap, upkeep, draw. I will play a Swamp for turn, tapping all 3 to play this badass Midnight Reaper. So 3/2, whenever a non-token creature I control dies, Midnight Reaper deals 1 damage to me and I draw a card. No one's really open for the Scorpion, and I don't want it to die just yet until I get Teysa out, so we're going to go ahead and pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn, play a Plains, 1 of each, for a Thought Vessel. Still have 4 mana, so then black, white, and 1 other. To enchant Eriette with Untamed Hunger. Enchanted creature gets +2/+1 and has menace, so it can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. That means I currently can go after either one of them. It's early in the game. If you've watched my episodes, you know I don't like to dogpile on one character for no reason. Nobody is really a threat yet, so Eriette will attack you for 4 damage, but it is commander, so that makes Eriette the threat, and now she is wide open for crackback, so probably not the best play early on. We'll see. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Now, unfortunately, we're not getting lands, which means we can't cast the commander. Oh, whoops, I almost forgot. Sorry. At my end step, I'm going to... each opponent loses 1 life, and I gain 1 life because that's the number of enchantments I control. Tap 2, and play Smuggler's Copter. It's a 3/3 flyer. When Smuggler Copter attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card, and it's got a crew of 1, which is good because either one of them can crew it. However, I played an artifact, so that means I make a 1/1 Thopter. I will move to combat, and I definitely will swing both of these at you for 2 damage, and that's really all I can do. We're going to go ahead and pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Okay, let's play Skyline Cascade. Comes in tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. We're going to go ahead and set Eriette. Going to then tap 3 to play Bonder's Ornament. That leaves me with 2 mana. Nothing I can do there. I don't think I want to go ahead and swing, even though I could get 3 damage, commander damage over there. Then again, I would be left open and everyone would crack back. Well, not necessarily, but I don't like, we've learned the lesson already. You shouldn't leave yourself wide open. So let's pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw. Play another plains for turn. No islands over here. Tapping all 4 to play Teysa Karlov. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. And creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink. I don't really have much token generation in here. I was focusing more on death triggers and ways to sack creatures to get death triggers and things like that. So now if the scorpion would die, everybody would take 2 damage or 4 damage and I'd gain 4 life. And then when another non-token creature dies, I would take 2 damage, but I would draw 2 cards. Now I can swing over there. I don't know that it's super important really, because she's not that much of a threat just because she did 4 commander damage to 1 person. But we don't want these games to last forever, so we will swing a 3/2 at you. 1, 2, 3, and then pass turn. Untap, except that doesn't untap. Upkeep, draw. We're going to go play Temple of the False Gods, which is online. Going to tap these 2 to play the enchantment Starfield Mystic. Oh no, sorry, it's a human cleric. It's a 2/2, but enchantment spells cost 1 less to cast. Whenever an enchantment I control is put into the graveyard, he gets a +1/+1 counter. We will then tap 1, 2, 3, 4 and play Ashiok's Reaper. It's a 3/3. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card, which is great. However, like I said before, I'm not getting all of the enchantments I need to lock everyone down. So that's where I'm going to have to retool this deck and put a lot more card draw into it so I can keep my hand filled with cards, always being able to play some enchantments. Can't do anything, doesn't stop the ability from triggering, so at my end step, everyone's going to lose a life and I'm going to gain a life. Pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw. Do we get a land? No, not good. Alright, so this next spell has affinity for artifacts. It costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and play Thoughtcast. Draw 2 cards, because we need some land. Okay, there's a land. We will play Urza's Power Plant. 2/3 of the way there to getting those trigger of double mana for just those couple cards, but still. And I still have enough mana, so we will tap 1 and 2 and play Veldikin Engineer. A 1/1 Artificer, not an artifact, but I can tap it to add 2 mana of any 1 color, but you can only spend that mana to cast artifact spells or activated abilities of artifacts. Still, pretty decent. 2 mana is 2 mana. Everyone's got some blockers. Do I have flying? I do have flying. And it only has a crew of 1. Going to go ahead and tap this. Actually, we could tap this guy because he has summoning sickness. Now, you can't tap creatures to activate their abilities or to attack when they have summoning sickness. However, crewing something doesn't count for the summoning sickness, so you can still tap a creature that just came in to crew something. Same way if a spell says tap X untapped creatures to do something, you can tap creatures that have summoning sickness and just came in. So we're going to crew the Smuggler's Copter. Who's got the most life? You do. So we're going to send, plus, we don't want to attack you on the ground where you can block and have your creatures die and get benefit out of it. So we're going to send 4 damage in the air at you, and then on Smuggler Copter's attacks, when it attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. I'll go ahead and discard Mage Mirror to draw a card. Well, technically it's the other way around, but whatever. It's draw a card, then discard a card. That's all we can do. No end step triggers. We're going to go ahead and pass. At least next turn we can play the commander. Although we don't really have that many vehicles out anyway. Untap, upkeep, draw. 1, 2, 3, 4 to play Hedron Archive. Taps for 2 mana, or you can pay 2 and sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I just drew a card. So Quiznos over here is going to damage you for 1, and I'll gain 1. And I think I may have missed that last turn as well. Because last turn, I played the land and tapped down, and played Bonder's Ornament, I believe, and didn't have enough mana to really do anything else. Or I think, yeah. So I believe that should have happened one more time. I'm already making mistakes. In fact, I know why I made a mistake, because it's not an upkeep trigger, but we'll just do that to try and remind myself on the draw. So I have 3 mana. I can, in fact, 1, 2, 3, to play Of One Mind. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you control a human and a non-human. I don't, so it costs price. Draw 2 cards. 1 life, and then draw a second card. I have not played a land this turn, so I will play Skycloud Expanse. Can't really do anything right now because you need to pay 1 into it, but then it taps for both white and blue. Gaining some life, I'm liking that. We're going to pass. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn, play another swamp. Okay, I'm going to tap 2 and play Fanatical Offering. In addition to additional cost to cast a spell, you sacrifice an artifact or a creature. So I'm going to sacrifice Serrated Scorpion in order to cast this. It says draw 2 cards, create a map token. So a bunch of stuff goes on the stack. When Serrated Scorpion dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent, and I gain 2 life, but she's going to double that. So everyone's going to take 4, and I'm going to gain 4. And then Midnight Reaper says whenever a non-token creature you control dies, it deals 1 damage to me, and I draw a card. So I'm going to take 2 damage, but I'm going to draw 2 cards, which is really cool. And then Fanatical Offering is going to finish, so then I draw 2 cards, and I make a map token. Make a map token. Okay, so map tokens just say pay 1, tap, and sacrifice that to target creature explores. You can only do it as a sorcery. Alright, I'm going to have to move to my end step and discard down. Go ahead and discard a swamp, and then pass turn. I suppose I could have explored right then and there just to give Teysa a little bit more power, but didn't think it mattered. Maybe it will. We're going to untap over here, upkeep, draw. 1, 2 to play Wicked Visitor. Wicked Visitor. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. It's a 2/2. This is great. If the one and only enchantment I have goes to the graveyard, it's going to do a whole bunch of stuff, but that doesn't really help much. Then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Play the enchantment Angelic Accord at the beginning of each end step. If you gained 4 more life this turn, create a 4/4 angel creature token with flying. It's not really going to happen much because I only have 1 freaking enchantment on the field, and there's no point, like I can swing over there. You do have the most life, so I guess that is the smart move. So we will swing Eriette at you because it has menace, so you're going to take 4 damage. Then move to my end step, everybody's going to lose 1. I'm going to gain 1, and then we pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw, play an island for turn. Going to go ahead and tap 1, 2, 3, 4, and cast the commander. Katsumasa the Animator. It's a 3/3 flyer. Pretty solid right there. Pay 3. Until end of turn, target non-creature artifact you control becomes an artifact creature and gains flying. If it's not a vehicle, it has a base power and toughness of 1/1 until end of turn. At the beginning of your upkeep, need to make a reminder there, I can put up to 1+1/+1 counter on up to 3 target non-creature artifacts. Problem being, I didn't ramp with Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, nothing, so I don't have anything to do that to, but it's there. Okay, Teysa did some damage and gained some life, so I think we're going to go ahead and do the same old, and swing another 4 in the air at Teysa. On attack, I can discard and draw. Guess I'll discard, I'll draw first, and then, okay, and get rid of Roiler Rogue, but I just drew an Arcane Signet, so that's going to help, eventually. So all we got, we're going to pass. Untap, upkeep, draw a card, and everyone takes, one person takes a damage. 29, so you'll take a damage, I'll gain a life. We'll play the Surgical Bay, it comes in tapped, taps for a blue, but you can pay 2 and sacrifice it to draw a card. So I'm going to have to do this to help. I'm going to tap 1 and sacrifice Promising Vein to search for a basic land, put it in the battlefield tapped. I'm going to get a swamp because I need the black. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 to play Worn Power Stone, which unfortunately comes in tapped. Then I will do 1, 2, 3, 4 and play Creeping Chill. It deals 3 damage to each opponent, and you gain 3 life. I actually probably going to end up taking this out because I just realized it's not as good as I thought it was. I misunderstood at first where I think it's Creeping Chill deals 3 damage to each opponent, and you gain 3 life. It says, then the next thing is, when Creeping Chill is put into your graveyard from your library, you may exile it. If you do, it deals 3 damage to each opponent, and you gain 3 life. Meaning if someone mills it, you can choose to exile it and do the same thing. I thought it was some kind of awesome, double hit. It's I play it, and it goes to the graveyard and it triggers again, dealing 6 damage to everybody, and I gain 6 life for 4 mana. I'm like, that's great, but that's not what it does. So, see? Reading the card explains the card. I mean, 3 damage to each opponent and you gain 3 life is still decent, but it's probably going to come out for just a card draw spell or something. That's all we can do right now. We're going to pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. I will play a Plains, keeping everything nice and balanced, as all things should be. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 to play Veto, Fanatic of Aklazatuz. I don't know. Not super great at pronouncing those kind of things. It's a 4/4 flyer. Whenever you sacrifice another permanent, you gain 2 life. If this is the first time this ability has happened this turn, or if it's the first time it's resolved this turn, you gain 2 life. If it's the second time, each opponent loses 2 life, and if it's the third time, create a 4/3 white and black vampire creature token with flying. The problem with this deck is it does pretty decent, and it's got some really cool cards, but I think I'm still weary about the wording, because something like, when you sacrifice another permanent, this happens. So sacrificing it does die, but I don't know that that triggers it twice based off of Teysa, because it says if a creature dying causes a triggered ability, that's sacrificing. It doesn't sacrificing it does kill it, so it does die, go to the graveyard. But does that count? I don't think it does. So like if I were to sacrifice, the serrated scorpion to veto somehow, and then you can't even, he's not even a sack outlet, but if you sacrifice the scorpion's death trigger would go twice off of Teysa. I don't know that his sacrifice trigger, and I have a bunch of creatures in here that say sacrifice a creature and do something, so I don't know if those trigger twice. It's good to have them in here for sack outlets as a way to sacrifice other creatures with good dying triggers, but you gotta be careful. So let me know in the comments if sacrificing a creature or something that says tap 2 and sacrifice a creature if gain a life, if that would double off of Teysa, or I don't think it does, but let me know. Because we might as well, I'm going to go ahead and tap. I don't have any 2-drops. Once again, I do, actually. That could be good. Oh, yeah. We're going to tap 1 and 2, play Knight of Dusk's Shadow. It's a 2/2 with Menace. Your opponents can't gain life, and you can pay 2, and Dusk's Shadow gets +1/+1 till end of turn. That shutting off life gain is really big for both those decks. So that's cool. That's going to affect things. I can't get in anywhere with anybody, so we're going to go ahead and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Shire Terrace comes in tapped. Taps for colorless, and I can pay 1 and sacrifice to go get a basic. Yeah, I mean, might as well, right? It's a big move, so let's go for it. Swamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Just enough mana. In Garruk's Wake. Destroy all creatures and planeswalkers you don't control. Nobody's got any answers. Nobody has open mana except for 1 blue over here. Not enough. So yeah, there you go. This gets destroyed. This gets destroyed. This is not a creature anymore, so that stays. These get destroyed. This goes back to the command zone. Costs 2 more to cast. Back to the command zone. 2 more to cast. Teysa goes back, 2 more to cast, and then these all die. Now, I think before that actually as it's happening, I believe because they're all getting destroyed at the same time, I believe Teysa sees them and their triggers all trigger. So this isn't. So whenever a non-token creature I control dies, it deals 1 damage to me and I draw a card. So I'm going to take 4 damage, 1, 2, 3, 4, and draw 4 cards. That doesn't have any kind of triggers. Actually, that's all that happened. So they timed that well. They did, like it wasn't me. Cool part is now I have just a ton of cards in hand over here and a decent amount of mana, so we can hopefully cast some stuff. But more importantly, that life prevention thing is gone, and we can go ahead and move to combat. Everybody's open. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 damage we can swing at 1 person, or we can try and spread it out. My natural inclination is to spread it out, but I guess we should just go for all at 1, because then it just makes it easier to take somebody out. You have the flyers, which are dangerous. You have the life gain, which is dangerous. You weren't really doing much, which is unfortunate. Although I did ramp really well in preparation, unbeknownst to me, so I can recast the commander easy enough, and then hopefully cast some draw spells. So 36, 23, 26. Well, you do have the most life, so I guess we're going to swing at you to try and get everybody down. I mean, what do you guys do? Do you just go after the 23? Because if you can eliminate 1 person in a game, it speeds up the game and makes it easier for you to take on the other 2 people. But that is the highest life total, and they do gain life whenever they draw a card. So getting them down low early could be beneficial in the long run to make it so that you can take them out. But who was doing the most damage, really? I guess Teysa kind of was. Right? Alright, you know what? We're going to try. We're going to send all 11 at Teysa. And granted, 4 of it is commander damage, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Alright, I guess I will. Back down to 12. Okay. 12 life, that's pretty low. We're going to move to our end step. Everybody's going to lose a life, and I'm going to gain a pass turn. Untap, no upkeep trigger. I draw a card. Definitely going to play that land. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can just enough to recast the commander. So at least we have a flyer. We can trigger, but if we did, then we can be completely open. We should probably, I could crew the Smuggler's Copter, send it over for a quick 3 damage in the air, do some card draw, but then we'd be wide open for a giant hit like that. So best to leave somebody up for block. Pass turn. Now this is the deck out of the 4, because it's brand new. I was really hoping to see it do something kind of cool, but so far it's not. We're going to draw for turn. I'll play a swamp, which we needed. So then swamp, I'll put this island underneath the sky expanse, so now it's blue, white, black, 1 more. Then tap the Power Stone for 2 and play Quiznos again. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. Oh my gosh, I can actually do this. Hang on. Oh wow, this is super, super cool. Okay, this is what I was hoping to do with the deck. And this isn't going to be a shock to anybody because, you know, like I said, this is a very popular deck, so I'm sure everyone knows that this card goes in this deck. So we're going to tap a black, 2 more blacks for 3 black, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 to play Peer into the Abyss, targeting myself. Kaboom! Peer into the Abyss is a sorcery that says target player draws cards equal to half the number of cards in their library and loses half their life, round up each time. Now, the reason why it's so awesome is because I gain a life every time I draw a card, so me losing half of my life isn't going to matter because I'm going to gain way more than I lose. Every time I draw a card, I ping somebody. So let's take a few minutes to give me a sec to count the cards in my deck. Alright guys, we have got 82 cards in my library, which means 41 damage as I see fit, and then I'm going to gain 41 life because it's target player draws cards equal to half the number of their library and loses half their life. So I'm at 35, so it'll be 18. So I would lose 18 life, but I'm going to draw 41 cards, so I'm going to gain 41 life. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to draw 41 cards, but first I'm going to lose half my life, which I'm going to lose 18, then draw 41, going up to a total net, well not total net, but up to 58. Now, of course, the way this works is each card draw, it happens. So I draw 1 card, I ping somebody, I gain a life. I draw 2 cards, the next card, third card, fourth card. So you do have to do that in step technically. But like I said, I've got 41 damage to do. Perfect. I can take out 2 people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal 28 damage to you and 13 damage to you. Nobody has any counter spells of any kind right now. There is a few in the blue deck, obviously. Well, not obviously, I don't really run counter spells, but there are actually 1 or 2 in there. But they're not in my hand, and he wouldn't necessarily stop. Once you say you're targeting, it's like, well, I mean, you'd have to counter the cast. You couldn't wait until they say who they're going to deal the damage to. It's like, this is what I'm going to do. Someone's going to be like, oh, hell no, that's way too much. You know, we're stopping that. So this is going to be exactly 28 damage. Kaboosh, you are the unalived. And then, like I said, we've got, well, there's 13 left. So we're going to take you down to exactly 11 as well. And then 12, 13. 1 card, 2 people out, and I gained a bunch of life. That is pretty sick. That's how I wanted to see this deck do. Now, that's the only, I mean, I don't have any recursion, so I can't get that sorcery back. There's just other card draw spells. Oh yeah, I actually draw half my library. The problem being is I don't have a Reliquary Tower. I don't have any open mana now to even cast a Thought Vessel or anything, so that's going to be bad. All right, that goes into my hand. Look at that. That is hilarious. I'm going to have to discard all of this, basically. But we can try and find some decent draw spells or something. Okay, I'm going to move to my end step, discard all of that. I have a plan. We'll see. I mean, it's going to theoretically work because I know there's no counter spells. So, unlike a real match, you know people. But the fun thing of playing so many games against people like online, playing on their Twitch streams and stuff, like a lot of the fun people in the Magic community that I've been meeting, or going to the SCG cons last year at like Baltimore and Pittsburgh and playing against people, it's actually not that crazy to play against people that just don't run a ton of removal or interaction. It's refreshing, actually, because one of the reasons why I lose to my friends is because they always run, like, almost every deck has some sort of blue splashed in, and if not, it still has tons of, I'm going to blow up this thing, I'm going to exile that, I'm going to counter your spell as you're playing it, I'm going to counter this activated ability. And it's like, oh my god, can you guys, like, let me play Magic? And obviously that is playing Magic, and that's a very viable part of it, and, like, I try to run some interactions because you kind of have to, but it's hard for me to just dump 15 card slots to be just, you know, exile, board wipe, counterspell, blah, 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 blah. I want to have fun cards that do the thing, but if they're getting countered, then you're not doing the thing. So I get both sides. There are instances where this might result. Like in my friend groups, probably. But if I go to a convention or I play on a stream, it might work. So I'm super thrilled that I actually got to play that and it worked. And I had enough mana to actually do it. Because whenever they board wiped, whenever that character board wiped, I was like, oh, well, there we go. Can't play Peer into the Abyss next turn like I was going to. But thankfully I ramped so well and like kind of let the card draw sit and focus on the ramp. That was a good move early on. So that's all we can do. We're going to go ahead and pass to the vehicles. Can they do anything? Probably not, but we'll see. Draw for turn. Got 6 mana. Okay. So I know what's in that hand because I picked something specific to win with. But this character doesn't know that, so they assume I'm going to just I kept a crap ton of card draw spells so I can draw 23 cards and kill you that way. So they're going to want to take 1, 2, 3, 4 control magic. We're going to enchant your commander and I gain control of it. And it doesn't say till end of turn, it's just you control enchanted creatures. So every time I draw a card, you're going to take a damage and I'm going to lose. And I gain life. We got 2 mana, so I will tap the 2 mana for an Arcane Signet. Actually, we'll tap it for the Mobilizer Mech, put the thing on top here, in the vain hopes that I'm going to get another turn. So it's 3 damage either way, regardless of whether or not, like if I use Kasuma to crew the Smuggler's Copter, it's kind of dumb because it's still 3. So we'll swing 3 Commander at you, taking you down to 55 life. Regrettably, that's all we can do. We're going to pass turn. Oh, actually, that Smuggler's Copter should have gotten a counter. So I guess it would have been 4, but the Commander did, off of his ability on upkeep. So we're going to pass turn back to you, and here comes the fun, because this is something I've been wanting to do forever. It's been in a different deck, this combo, and I just haven't been able to pull it off. Or maybe I tried to do it once, I can't remember. So what we're going to do is we're going to upkeep, draw. Doesn't really matter what we draw. I will go ahead and tap the swamp for a Soul Ring, just in case, get some extra mana. And I actually will play an island for turn, because I wanted to do that, because I wanted the right enough mana. So we're going to go ahead and tap blue into black, and play Time Seed. Tap it, sacrifice 5 artifacts, take an extra turn after this one. We're then going to go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and plays Thopter Assembly. So now at this point, we have a win con on the board. However, it doesn't trigger until next turn, actually, so we are still vulnerable. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana left. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Can we do it, though? Okay, so this taps for white, this taps for blue, we'll tap that for black. Void Rend. This spell can't be countered. Destroy target non-land permanent. We're going to destroy your enchantment. We're going to get our commander back. And I just drew the Void Rend top decked right now. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. Can I do something for 4? I can't, actually, unfortunately. But that's okay. So the way the combo works is that at the beginning of my upkeep, if I control no Thopters other than Thopter Assembly, I bounce it to my hand and make 5 1/1 colorless Thopter creature tokens. Artifact creature tokens. So then I immediately taps Time Sieve, sacrifice those 5, and I get to take an extra turn. So then on my next turn, I play Thopter Assembly. Or no, sorry. Okay, that's why, because you gotta have a lot of mana for this. Next turn, here's what's gonna happen. I'm going to upkeep, that's gonna bounce to my hand. I'm gonna make 5 guys. I'm gonna tap that to sacrifice the 5 Thopters to take an extra turn. Then I'm going to replay Thopter Assembly for 6 mana. And then whatever's left, I can try and play other things. And then just keep doing that. So I have to always have 6 mana on my turns to replay Thopter Assembly in order to take infinite turns, drawing cards, infinite damage with the card draw if nothing else. And then I can cast other things as long as I keep 6 mana open to recast Thopter Assembly. However, I can't do that right now. So if they have something really cool, they can do it on their turn. So I did forget about that. I forgot that it takes a turn to do it. So we might not have it in the bag just yet. We're going to pass. So we're going to upkeep trigger, untap, upkeep trigger, draw for turn, play an island. And unfortunately, we do have an answer for that, which really sucks because, of course, we do. Geez, I'm not even playing real people and I can't play the things I want to play. Dang it. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we're going to tap 3, and we're going to deep freeze the Thopter Assembly. Enchanted creature has base power and toughness 0/4, it's a defender, and it loses all other abilities, and is a blue wall in addition to its other type, so it loses the bounce ability. So unless I can destroy that enchantment, combo's not going to go off. So we're going to tap 3 for a Bonder's Ornament, tap 2 for an Arcane Signet, so now we can start making those get counters on my upkeep. Alright, so this time we're going to tap Kasuma to crew the Mobilizer Mech. Whenever a Mobilizer Mech becomes crewed, up to one other target vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. They're both flying, so this is a 5. This is 9 damage in the air. We're going to send it at you. Alright, there it is. There it begins. Vehicles taking the win away from poor little card draw. But that's how Commander works. You gotta be prepared for that. I'm not saying that I am. I get salty after 3 or 4 losses in a row. Heck, even 2 to 3 losses in a row. Well, third loss. First 2 games, it's just for fun. It's fine. Third loss, then I start to get and it does get worse as it goes on. So I have to control myself and try and just be like, all right, I'm out. I'm not playing any more games. So I don't be a jerk. But that's all we can do. We're going to pass turn. Now, they are wide open because these are now just artifacts. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. You're going to take a damage. I'm going to gain a life. 1, 2. I don't have an answer to get rid of that. So 3 blue, 4 other to play the enchantment Thought Reflection. If I would draw a card, I draw 2 cards instead. So we're going to tap that for 2 blue, 1 other, and then 2 others. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to play Teysa's Ambition. Draw 3 cards. If you control no artifacts, discard a card. I have plenty of artifacts, so I don't have to discard. But I'm going to draw 3 cards. However, if you would draw a card, draw 2, so I'm going to draw 6. You're going to take 6 damage, and I'm going to gain 6 life. Fortunately, I don't remember if I played a land this turn. I don't believe I did. So I'm going to play the command tower. So I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. I'll go 1, 2, 3 to play Chromatic Lantern. Still gives me 3 more mana, so 1, 2, 3, and play Read the Bones. Scry 2, then draw 2, you lose 2. So I'm going to scry 2 first. Yep, I like that. That's definitely going to stay where it is. And yeah, I guess we'll leave both of those where they are. But because whenever you draw a card, draw 2, so I'm going to draw 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to take 4 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, gain 4 life. But then I lose 2 life. You are open, so yeah, I will swing 3 at you. Then I will go to my end step. I'm going to have to discard 2 lands and then pass turn. Untap, upkeep trigger. We'll put the counters on those guys and 1 counter on the Arcane Signet. Draw a card. It's a land. We'll play the land. We'll tap 3 to play Divination. Draw 2 cards. More lands. That's about how it goes in my actual games. I'm going to tell you right now. You're at a key junction, you have maybe a chance, you need some good cards, you draw lands. I have 2 lands in a row. 3 lands in a row, actually. We will go ahead and tap, well, wait a second. Yeah, we'll tap 1, 2, 3, 4, tap Bonder's Ornament to draw 1 more card. Another land. Insane. Look at this, guys. 3 lands. Not lying to you. Okay. We will then go to combat, well, before combat, because you got to crew before combat. End of my main phase 1. Tap this to crew Mobilizer Mech, which turns that into a creature. Then I swing both of them. It's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, those are solid hits. It's just he had so much life, and now we're open, down to 6 life. It doesn't even matter. We'll pass turn. I'm not going to lie. I'm happy that the brand new deck is going to win the first game. That's pretty cool. We're going to untap all this crazy amounts of artifact mana and regular mana. We're going to draw card for turn, you're going to take a damage, I'm going to gain a life. I'm trying to think like, well, now that I can draw double cards, I don't even know if I need to. The point was I have Depart the Realm, which return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So I can return Deep Freeze back to their owner's hand. However, it won't trigger the bounce, so they could just play it again on their next turn. So yeah, that would be a wasted mana. So we're going to tap 2. Play See Beyond, draw 2 cards, then shuffle a card from your hand into your library. Oh, actually, that's 4. So you take another 2. Gain another 2. We'll go ahead and shuffle this Plains into my deck. My little tiny, not even sure how many cards are left in it deck. Play a Swamp for turn because I didn't play a land yet. So we'll go ahead and we'll do it. We'll tap these 2 to play Depart the Realms anyway, to bounce that back to your hand. It's all about, at this point, it's all kind of about like making them think we're going to try one thing when we're going to try something else. Go 1, 2, 3. No, that's dumb. Where's the doubles? 1, 2, 3 to play Retreat to Hagra. Landfall, when it enters the battlefield, you can pick one. Creature gets +1/+0 and gains Death Touch on turn, or each opponent loses life and gains life. That's why it's in here. I should have played that before I played the Swamp, but I wasn't going to dial it back because at this point it's fine. And then I can even do, well, there's no point in being super greedy, I guess. Blue, black, 1 other. No, it doesn't matter. We're not going to bother playing stuff. I still don't have anything that gives me unlimited hand size, which is crazy. Because I got like 4 things in the deck, and with all the cards I've been drawing, you'd think I drew half the deck. Literally. We'll go ahead and, oops, wait a second. No, these are not in my hand. Darn it, stop being stupid. So, okay, now I don't have to discard it. I have set, because I was like, oh, I'm going to do this thing. It's like, no. Don't bother with that. Now, oh, well, you know what? What's kind of funny is I guess, see, now here's a little, I'm not 100%, because it was a 0/4, now it's a 5/5. I think this can attack. It's been under my control the entire time. It just changed shape, so to speak. So I could just swing and kill. We're gonna pretend like I'm pretty sure this can attack. I don't think it's a problem. I think we could just kill him right here with the Thopter Assembly. But let's just say it doesn't because of whatever. And plus, I want to do the more interesting thing. So we're gonna pass turn. They'll untap over here, make everything a little bit bigger, draw a card, which I guess could matter. Nope, it's just a land. So they would play some sort of land. They have a, we have another land. It's a 5th land in a row. So we play a land. we would probably trigger for Dynamo to draw a card. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we would have enough to play this Raider's Carve. Whenever it attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, put it on the battlefield. Pretty cool. It's a 4/4, but it's a vehicle. So then we would move to combat and be like, fine, whatever. I'm going to swing at you. Now, if they didn't swing everything, this wouldn't work. Well, everything being these two. But that's another thing. We could, like, so what is that? 6 and 7. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We could maximum hit for like 18 damage. If we didn't play that, we used the mana to crew both of these. And if I put one of the... No, sorry. Upticks were still the same. So the best we could do is like 17 damage. The whole point was, it's tap 3 to play Keep Watch. Draw a card for each attacking creature. There's 2 attacking creatures. I'd draw extra cards, so I'd actually draw 4. You would take 4 damage. I would gain 4 life before combat even, before damage was dealt during combat. Be dead before I even did it. So there you go. And this is interesting because every single one got exact damage. No one went beyond. That's pretty cool too. That doesn't really happen too many on my games. So what do you think? What do you think of the card draw Quiznos over here? Obviously, it was all because of Peer into the Abyss. This wouldn't have been that easy if it hadn't been for that card, obviously. But with all the card draw in the deck, you would hope to get to that card relatively quickly, or get to it semi-consistently when playing. Maybe 2 out of every 5 games you play with the deck, you should get to it. But I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you saw some cool cards you want to put in your decks, and I will see you next time.